What's up? What's up, everybody? So, I want to do some stuff for y'all today. I get a lot of people asking me how I edit in Davinci, and I'm by no means saying I'm a super pro or anything like that, but I use it in my day-to-day work for my job, so I figured, screw it. I'll give you guys my intro to Davinci tutorials, whatever you want to call it. Really, it's for people that aren't directors. If you're just somebody who, like, if you're editing like stream clips and stuff like that, this will be a perfect tutorial. Kind of get you familiar with the software, really get you involved, and just like when you open it up, you're just not completely lost. Now, I have the paid version, the full version of Davinci, which is absolutely worth it. But everything that I'm teaching you today will transfer over to anybody with the free version. Just want to get that out of the way and let you guys know ahead of time. Mine may have a few more options, like in customization things than yours, but it looks exactly the same. So all of the navigation, everything is exactly the same. I have more toys inside of Davinci. Without further ado, let's jump on over. Let's get it started. And if you like what you see, please don't be afraid. Hit that like, follow. Appreciate it. Okay, when you open up Davinci, this is what you're going to see. You have to understand the way that Davinci is set up is very similar to the way that a film is made, like when the way that they separate out their tabs. There's phases in a movie making process that they go through. So you have your media acquisition, which is this first tab right here. This is where, they would be dumping all of their folders from all the different cameras that they shot the shoot with. And that is a whole phase because it's just ingestion. It's just you ingest all the footage that was shot for whatever source you were shooting. For some people, that might be your stream that you shot. For others, it might be a music video. Doesn't matter. This is where you bring all of your media in. You can do folders. You can you just drag and drop into this. I don't personally use this screen a whole lot because for me, I've got a whole other method, and that's what we're going to be teaching today. And then you move on. The next tab on here is your cut. This is basically, once you've got all of your clips, it's a whole tab that is dedicated to just cutting stuff up, placing your cuts in your timeline. So I'm just gonna grab the video that I shot a minute ago, and you can drag it in here. Change project frame rate. I'm gonna say no, because I think I recorded in 60 frames. Whatever. This will tell you right here. I recorded in 30. It defaults to 24 frames per second. Which, if you guys don't know, that is your standard for like movies, most TV shows, unless it's like a soap opera or like a novella. Basically, 24 frames per second is the standard for any film consumption out there ever. Sometimes people like to use 30 or 60 frames per second. You see that a lot more in streamers because video games play in 60 frames per second. And so if you set your camera to 60 frames and your video games at 60 frames, then I guess it kind of looks a little bit cleaner and there's not a frame rate difference. So do with that information what you want. That's kind of going in the bushes. So like I said, you can throw your footage in here. You can throw your footage in from the media tab. Notice it is here now. The whole point is that these tabs exist and you can use them if you want. But for someone like me, I don't. I very rarely use these two tabs, but I do need to talk about them because you at least need to know what they're there for. So then if you were thinking about how a movie is made, after they've cut if you think about it like from the film perspective, after you cut all your little film together, then you come in, and here's the edit tab. Now this right here, this is what I primarily use. This is my home base until I get ready to go, tweak the audio or cut or color it or render it. I would be dragging stuff into here. Now, if you watch my other video on how to set up power bins and stuff like that, the link will be, I'm such a tiny camera on screen, it doesn't matter. Link will be in the description below for that. But I typically, and I'll get rid of this for now. Typically, the way that I do is I've got all this set up where this is my master bin. I will grab my footage. I will grab a folder for audio, and then my company stuff, and then my overlays. Maybe the YouTube subscribe. Hint, hint. Once you got all that, then it's a simple. I stay organized. Sometimes when I do shoot, if I'm editing, I might have A, B, and C cam. So I might shoot with up to 3 cameras. I don't do that a lot. But it's good to have the option to regardless. What we'll do now is we'll take our footage, and this is what's cool about this. So here's our folder with the footage that we had from earlier. Just take it, drop it into the A cam. Okay. That's it. Footage is in there. If I want to start working on it, I already have it. I can just take it, drag it out to my timeline. And just like that, we have our footage ready to go, ready to start editing. Now, you'll notice when I bring my footage in, it has 6 different audio channels. That's just because that's how I have my stream set up for the purpose of today. we're only going to be worrying about this top one. When you bring your stuff in, I promise, if, you know, unless you set your stuff up like I do, that's how it's going to look when it comes in. Okay. So one thing that you'll notice right off the gates is when I drug this to here, I now have a timeline folder, or I have a timeline created. For the basics, forget about it, okay? If anything, I'll take it, I'll just drag it out into my master folder. So now I know it's there if I need it for later. Okay, so how do we go in? How do we navigate? How do we do anything once we've got our footage in? I use my hotkeys a lot, so you'll see me, clicking around and moving fast. That's just kind of how I started in Pro Tools and I got used to it there. But fastest way to zoom in and out, if you're on Windows, is you hold Alt and you roll your mouse wheel up. That'll zoom you in. If you roll it back, it'll zoom you out. It's pretty straightforward. Now get off your Alt key. If you hold the Shift key, it'll make this stuff bigger. Okay. So you've got, you can see your little timeline. You can see where, okay, this is about where it cut. So if we, go up here and click and drag, and it'll show you the transition. Oh, look, holy crap, it was almost right. So there's me there. There's my other camera. There you go. It kind of gives you a thumbnail preview just so you can kind of see what it looks like, right? Now, if you want to go left to right, now here's the thing. If you're on Apple, it's a lot easier. They have the magic mouse and they can just go whoop, 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 and then like it'll do it. Well, Windows mouse doesn't have that. It's just up and down. So what we do is we hold, instead of holding Alt to zoom in and out, we hold Control, and that goes left to right. So you'll see me a lot bouncing between these keys. So I will zoom in, I'll scroll down and say, this is where I wanted to go right here. I'll click right there and I'm good to go. Understand, whenever you're zooming in and out, it is going to default to wherever your playhead, this little red line right here, it's going to focus on that. So if I zoom out, I go all the way to here and I come in, it's going to stick on that red line. So if you will do this, I promise. I will have it right here. And I'll be looking over here, trying, or like say we're like this, okay? I will zoom over here, and I'm like, oh, I want to zoom into that. And I go to press Alt and zoom in. Look, it snapped me back over here to the red. Keep that in mind. It's not a big deal, but it will get frustrating when you're learning. Just, make sure that like if I zoom out and I zoom to go to this transient right here, move your damn playhead. And, oh God, that was a horrible screenshot of me. There. Close your mouth, Brian. Okay. So then we zoom in here, and then it moves it to where we want it to go. Understand, your zoom is all, it thinks that this is where you're looking. So you have to tell it, hey, look to that spot right there. That's a nice logo. Let's zoom the fuck in on it. Here we go. That's how you do that, okay? So the next hotkey that you got to learn that is the most important probably of all the hotkeys is the cut tool. Now, I use my hotkeys, it's C, okay? C and V will get me from, you can see the blade tool right here. Blade edit mode C, selection mode V. Now, I believe I imported my hotkeys from Premiere Pro. You can change all of that stuff. You can set your hotkeys to be whatever you want. I like it being C because in my head, C means cut. V, it's right there next to the C button. That's literally how I do that. If you want to change your hotkeys, you just come over here to the Davinci logo, keyboard customization. This will give you all of your stuff. If you need to look for something like blade, this is on the trim, blade edit mode. All right, that pulls up our C. If you don't want to use your hotkeys, or if for some reason they're not working, say you got it set to, you don't know what. Up here are your different types of tools, okay? You have your blade tool, which I have mapped to C, but if you hover over it, notice it tells you C, so it'll tell you whatever your hotkey is for that. And you have your regular selection mode, which is V. I just call this regular mouse mode. You got blade, you got mouse. That's what's important. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pretend that I wanted to grab right here on the clip. What am I saying? Oh. All right, we'll just jump. We'll grab this screen right here. Say this is where we wanted to go. Right, all right. So we're gonna grab, we switch to our blade mode. You can click that, or you can hit your C. It's up to you. Do what you want. And notice, that put a line here. Now I can continue making lines. I can continue making cuts. I'll just click that there. We can click that there, and we'll click right here. Okay. Now say I didn't want this cut right here. Most people will do is they'll forget to switch to the selection tool, and they'll leave it on blade tool, and they're like, oh yeah, I gotta go over here, and then bam, now they've got another cut, and you're just like, oh God. There are two ways to undo that. You can come up here up to the edit and click undo. You can also click, if you see on the edit right here, and I'll probably zoom into this, there's a hotkey for that too. Control Z. That is your friend. Control Z. Okay. So we got our cut right here that we didn't want. Bam. It's gone. Now say we did want it. We accidentally hit Control Z, or maybe we went back too far. Maybe we took this one over here when we didn't want it to go away. Control Shift Z. Redoes. So Control Z is undo. Control Shift Z is redo. That will probably be the most used hotkey switching between your cursor modes is your undo and redo buttons. So let's say, we get our cut, we want it there, and we just want this little snippet of the clip, okay? So before we're still in blade mode, we're gonna press back over here to our selection tool, zoom the hell out, and we're gonna click that. Now, we drag this all the way to the front, okay? Zoom out, we'll move this just out of the way so we know that this right here is the timeline that we are working on right here. This is just our extra footage. Then it's just a matter of, go into taste, okay? So say we got this clip right here where it's this screen. We're gonna go in, we're gonna grab this and just grab a little snippet of it. Now, again, all I did, press C, I placed my cut right there. If you've already got a cut and you click, it'll just place it right in one frame to the left or right. Don't do that. But I grabbed my cut, placed it again. I switched back to my selection tool. Now you'll see, you notice if I'm on blade, it still shows the arrow right here. But as soon as I go to my timeline, that right there is when it indicates like, hey, you're in blade mode, dude. So this is where, you press your V and you can see the arrow. It doesn't change. It's in selection mode. So now we click it, drag this. Let's go all the way back. You can stay in this. Now notice, because this clip was so long, it takes forever to get back over there. So rather than do that, let's zoom out. Where is our clip? Oh, there it is. Notice it defaulted back to where we were focused. So we're right here. Let's grab that, continue dragging it. So once we put our clips together, we know that, we'll just say this right here. That's another clip that I wanted. My God, I'm so fast at this. I am a god. All right, whatever. Once we're done, and we know that this right here is the edit that we want, okay? Probably horrible, but we've got our clips together that we know that we want to use, okay? Select all of this that you're not using, and if you press the delete key, guess what? It deletes. It's pretty straightforward once you start doing it over and over again. I know I'm fast and I'm talking fast, so by all means, please rewind the video if I went over stuff that was just too much, too fast. Once you've got your clips cut up how you want, this is all great and dandy. There's still some things that you're probably going to want to do. The most important thing is your coloring tab. I'm not going to give you a full tutorial on how to color things in this, but basically this is how you make stuff look pretty, except for that face. That is not an appealing face, Brian. But anyways, you can go in here. You have to understand this is all node based. And what that means is the signal, you have to think of it like signal flow in like audio. Source starts here, hits this node, and if I make another node and another node, it's going to hit this, then this, then this, then we see this right here. So whenever you're visualizing everything in your head, keep track of it like that. Whereas if you came from Premiere, theirs is layer based, where if you have adjustment layers on top of it, it hits one, then the next, then the next, then it gets to you. You can rearrange this however you want. You can move it all around. They have the possibilities with these nodes right here is pretty crazy, and it is way more in depth than you need for a first time tutorial. Just understand that this right here is where if I wanted to make this entirely green or change any of these colors and make it look horrible, that's where I would do it. If you do some shit that you don't like that, go up here, right click, reset node. You can get pretty in depth with it. From there, once you're done with your coloring, if you did want to do any color grading, again, if you're doing string clips, don't. It's just not worth it. But you will probably want to do audio. There's two places you can do your audio. If you want to go nitty gritty in depth, the Fairlight tab, which is the Davinci's audio processing software. This is like a built-in recording, like, Pro Tools built into Davinci. And you could throw all kinds of cool stuff like, you've got this right here, which if you turn it on, it'll pop up. This is a voice isolation. So say your room had too much noise when you were recording, this is where, you could work with that. And it's got it built into the software. This is entirely free, comes with it. You're ready to go. I turn it off. but because for this it's not necessary. But any kind of plugins, anything that you want. Like I said, I have my whole recording studio set up, so I have all of my plugins from Pro Tools. They're all still in here, and they're all over the place. But it does have its own suite of plugins built into it. You don't need all the crazy shit that I've got. You trust me that voice isolation, dialogue leveler maybe, and then a compressor or a channel strip for if you're talking in your clips. It's really all you need. But we'll go more into depth on that later. The other place that you can worry about your audio is actually still over here in our edit screen. So on this screen, you can go in and you can actually grab, if you watch the waveform right here, we'll zoom in a little bit. So you can watch my waveforms. If I need to make this clip a little bit louder, I can, and it reflects it on the waveform. I understand that, you'll probably be clipping at some point. So, if you see the waves get above that line, like right there, it's gonna sound like poop. So just be careful about that. But you do have control of your audio. You also have got it up here if you really want to. You can select your clip, and you'll see that it does the same thing from right up here. Whether you need to with that or not is, that's up to you. From there, say we've got our edit done. We got our audio is perfect. We've thrown in some background music, which I've got preset background music that I have saved in my Davinci. I could throw this shit in right here, and then there. Now we have our 2 tracks. We'll take it and we'll lower the volume down hella low, but just so you got something in the back. So we'll cut it. Say that's where we wanted it to end. Pie out. This is our stream clip. All right, we want to put this on TikTok. Now, yes, you can put horizontal footage on TikTok. No, you don't need to. Remember when we set up that timeline earlier? Let's go back over to that. There's 2 ways to do this in Davinci, and you'll hear that a lot. But if we go to our timeline, go to our timeline settings, it's going to default to using our project settings, but we can turn that off and use vertical resolution, which, oh my God, now we have vertical footage. You might have to go in and kind of play with it. So, if you need to move your footage around, come up here, click the video, kind of slide it around, place yourself however you want. That's all specific on whatever you're shooting, okay? So for me, there's a couple different things I would do. I don't particularly like making vertical footage, but this is kind of important for people that are streaming. The other way we can do it, let's go back to our timeline settings and make sure that's using project settings. Notice it comes back. We'll reset because it moved it. So it's back to how it was. Come up here, file, project settings. You can tell it to use vertical resolution from here. The reason I don't like doing this is because this means that every timeline that I make in the session from here out is going to be like that. So what I will do is I will leave it like this. And if I really wanted to make 2 versions, like say I wanted to have a horizontal and a vertical, which I get clients asking me to do that a lot, I will right click on this. I will duplicate said timeline. And I will go in here, and that's where I do my timeline settings, turn off project settings, and make that one vertical. Now, you'll see nothing changed. So let's click on it. Let's double click. And now, when we have this one open, this one's in vertical, but our original edit is still back over here in horizontal. So now I have the option of both, and I can go in and kind of adjust my placement, everything like that from there. Beyond that, once you're ready to render, say you've got all of your stuff perfect, you go over here to this little tab right here that says deliver. Lo and behold, the one that says deliver, it's got a little rocket ship. That's for getting your footage out. All right. Which for most people in the beginning, that's basically like hitting the flush on the toilet because your stuff probably sucks. That's okay. My shit sucked too. And most people's shit sucks, but you did it and you're learning and you just get a little bit better every time. That's all that matters. So from there, once you get it to the deliver tab, you come over here, we'll hit, make our file name, Brian's awesome edit. Cool. Set our location. I'm just going to go to my desktop because guess what? I'm probably going to delete this here afterwards. Big surprise. And then from there, you can set all of these settings. Typically, it comes pre-set up, exactly how you need it. Unless you've got a pro client that needs a certain format, I would leave it how it is. It does a pretty good job. And then you hit add to render queue. Now, when you've hit that, it has not started yet. You just told it to add to the queue. Reason being is you could have like 4 videos set and put them all in the queue and then hit render and then walk away, grab a sandwich, grab, you know, some coffee, whatever, because it'll just chug away at it. For this right here, we're only going to do one. We go right here, we hit render all, bam. And it's going to chug right on through that. It's done, completed. Took 2 seconds to render. Depending on your graphics card, that is going to vary. Especially if you have the free version of Davinci, I believe that it has to use hardware encoding versus or it has to use software encoding versus the hardware. Meaning, even if you've got a really nice graphics card, the free version's only going to be pulling from your processor. It's just some of the pros and cons that, you know, they want you to buy the software, but spoiler alert, buying the full version of Davinci is like the cheapest way to get the best editing software on the planet. They use this stuff for movies for a reason. So I hope that helps get you guys started with Davinci. I know that that's a lot of information fast. This software does have a hell of a learning curve. Any editing software has a learning curve, but if you learn this one, it's pretty much, it's one and done. Like you figure out Davinci, you can use it if you want it, whether you're doing small, easy tasks or if you're getting hired to do professional gigs. That's why I love the software. So if you guys like what you see, be sure, please like, subscribe, do all the things. It really means a lot. And if you haven't, you know, if you didn't know, I do actually stream. Lately, I've been streaming more on TikTok than anything. However, I can multi-stream, so be sure to follow me if you're on Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, The Brian Mertz. That's me. So come say what's up. And again, thank you guys so much for checking it out. Catch you in the next one. Peace.